Have I not heard the whisper that you're being encouraged to take this across the country?
I mean, I've always had a national heart for the kids in our country. I went to the West. I spent some time in Regina, and I tell you, our First Nations kids out there.
I was just going to say that.
Huge
need.
Beautiful children, huge need. There's lots of great people trying to do something out there. I've been to the East just this last little while. Halifax, we were in St. John's, we went to Moncton. Everywhere we go, the need is so huge, and everybody is in their own context. But when you look at the neighborhoods that are there, Canada has some huge issues, and one of the issues is as long as we allow poverty to be acceptable, we will never have the will to really change it. And I think what's still happening in our country is we still allow it. It's still acceptable for kids to live in poverty, right since in the 1980s when we declared, you know, Lloyd Axworthy stood up in Parliament and said we're going to obliterate child poverty in 10 years. It's grown, and unless it becomes unacceptable to us as a society in our country, child poverty and poverty in general will stay there.
So what's the first step then, Todd? I mean, you know, there are people going, okay, then let's take a stand. Let's make a change then to stop this. How do you even begin? Well,
you know, a lot of people think, well, I can't be the person who's the anti-poverty activist, right? You know, we know housing, we know minimum wage, so we know all the people that fight that in terms of government. But everybody can do something, and I think that's the idea. Just finding something in your local community. There are organizations existing in pretty much every community across our country that are desperate for resources. Just somebody to give even 1 hour a week to come down, and it could be serving soup, it could be, I mean, who knows what it is. But if everybody just takes a moment to look in their community and say, what can we do as a family to give back? I gotta believe if we all try to do something, that we can whittle away at this. And nobody in our country would feel alone or without hope.
Yeah. And what about this template? Will it work? Will it work? Can we have people praying, considering being involved with you in taking this across?
I have no doubt in my mind that the template of what we do. Now, City Kidz, what we do is not an original concept. Bill Wilson and Metro Ministries in New York, I mean, he's one of the founders that knows how to take this thing, and he's been duplicating it. This thing can be duplicated. All you have to do is be willing to put the time into it and be committed. This is not a short-term thing. You got to be willing to get into it and just plug away at it. I mean, 18 years feels like yesterday for me, but the success has really been, we just didn't give up. We just kept at it.
Right.
So
when we're talking about this whole poverty issue and what we're seeing with these kids, though, I don't think money is necessarily the answer in the sense that throwing money at it will change things. There's a huge human need here.
Oh, absolutely.
And as you're saying, it's time, it's people. I mean, these are so many fragmented families. You know, you're up against abuse. You're up against a lot of things that have just come generation after generation that you are up against when when you have this child. You know, there's this window of time you have to try and reach a child and come against these things that have, you know, been or surrounding them. So how do you do that? I mean, what is the human aspect of this?
For sure, yeah. And I think, first off, hope is very powerful, right? I mean, the ingredient that we bring every week is hope. Hope is what combats against that despair, against that poverty mentality. There's a lot of work being done right now on resiliency, and what people are learning is that kids living in poverty are resilient. If you've traveled to third world countries, it breaks our heart. It's terrible to see our kids living in those environments, but kids are very resilient. If you ask one of our 7-year-olds what they want to be when they grow up, they'll tell you. They have dreams and aspirations. Our job at City Kidz is to keep those dreams and aspirations at an all-time high. Because what happens when they hit 12, 13, 14, they begin to realize, they look around and they look at their environment and they start fighting that. Do I stay in school? Do I quit? Do I really believe God has a plan for, or is that just a pipe dream now to make me, and that's where the battle fight is fought with them. Hope is very powerful. What we bring every week, we whipped cream pies, all that, the prizes and all that. When kids come into that environment, when they walk through the back door of the Playhouse Theater, they're walking into their world of hope. And in that instance, what happens? Whatever happened during their week, hope is being raised.
Consistent encouragement.
But it will take the community. Like, you could say it, but as they go 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, we need parents, teachers, peers, churches, everybody to speak that hope into them, right? Or else, you know, one could do it, and then if it's not consistent throughout, you can see where it can kind of
Good message, and that's so true. People, I think, rely too much on the City Kidz of their communities. They look at us and say, they're doing it, let's just give to them. But you're absolutely right. This is a community issue, a society issue. All of us, our churches, our families, we all need to get involved. And the more support our kids have, the more good people that are in their lives, the better chances we have at breaking that cycle and getting them into achieving all that God has for them.
They're our children. They're our future.
That's the language we need, right? It's not them over there. You're right, like City Kidz there, but they're ours. Absolutely. Ours responsibility.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because I just got back from Africa, and I was having a conversation with somebody, with this man there, and there were a bunch of kids outside, and I said, oh, so which ones are yours? And he said to me, oh, here we all belong to one another.
Beautiful.
And I just thought that is such a different mentality than what we have here, that we all belong to one another.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love that.
Biblical.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, City Kidz, though, is funded how?
We are funded by a lot of people, so we don't receive any government funding. Everything we do comes from, it's community supported. Our churches in our community support it, corporations support it, and we work very, very hard to generate the funding for that.
So during this Christmas season, when people are a little more outward focused instead of so inward focused, how can people say, you know what, I believe in what Todd Bender is doing at City Kidz, I want to help. How can people help?
Well, our greatest need right now, we have two great needs. Child sponsorship is huge, so $27.50 a month sponsors those kids I've been talking about just to attend regularly on Saturday, getting somebody to their door, feeding them all. I mean, that's a lot of mouths to feed every Saturday, right? So, and Christmas, and we were trying to give 3,000 kids what we call the gift of Christmas. And we got presents, we got parties, we got food, we got Christmas stockings. They can go right to the website. They can look at the website, they can see for themselves how it fits with their family, click on the links, and they can give right through there.
And the website is citykidz.ca.
City Kidz with a Z.ca.
And when I was driving into Hamilton to see Ely, our hairdresser, I saw the big sign on Main Street that said to give to City Kidz.
Yes,
and I gave a little woo to you because I realized that, you know, we were going to be talking to you today. So that's great that the city of Hamilton has really embraced you.
Our Ely is one of your champions.
And as well. So I mean, that's really encouraging to see that.
We have a great Hamilton. I'm a Hamiltonian, and I got to tell you, Hamilton is an amazing city. I mean, even per capita, the amount of people that give, we top the charts in terms of contributions and community who comes. Hamiltonians are funny though. They'll be the first to complain about their city. But if you complain and you're not from Hamilton to them, it's like you're picking on their little brother. Look out, yeah.
And you can't see Argonauts either.
No, that's
football. I know that.
Right, okay. That's right. But we love our city, and Hamilton loves City Kidz as well. We're grateful for that.
Well, we love what you're doing, Todd.
I was just going to say, we love City Kidz too, and Todd Bender, thank you for joining us on Full Circle.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely.